Man podcast. Strap in for an hour of Borough chat. Up the Borough!
Right, good evening. Welcome to the 12-Man podcast, live on Facebook, The Reds, and all the good places you listen to your podcast. Spotify, Amazon, Deezer, Apple Music, everywhere else you could possibly name drop until they start taking money off me for saying their names. You got me, Steve Jackson. I'm in the main chair, as usual. Mr. John Cutler's with me. Evening, Cut.
Evening.
You all right?
Yeah.
Good. I see you concentrate, so I'll leave you to it. And fresh from his stint doing karaoke yesterday. Cracking voice, by the way. Mr. John Donovan. Evening, John Don.
Hi, how are you doing, boys? You all right?
Yeah, we're doing good. How's your voice?
Yeah, that portable karaoke was quite fun, wasn't it?
That was a cracker, wasn't it? I loved it. It was great.
Yeah,
What was
it
your
certainly improved my mood home on the journey back. Like,
Definitely.
What was your go-to, John?
REM plus others, mainly indie songs.
Plus others. I think at one
point. Some it was okay. Some I absolutely trashed, but that was it. Doesn't matter, does it?
No. That's what the Baileys was for, though, wasn't it? Just to help freshen the voice a bit more.
It was to sort of lubricate. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So yes, we're going to talk. We'll talk a little bit about Sheffield United. I say that was a big win midweek last week. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Norwich yesterday. The ups and downs of following the Borough, all epitomised in a 90-minute spell. And then we'll do a bit of a preview for Coventry on Saturday. So we've got a gentleman joining us from a Coventry podcast, Simon. He's going to join us about 45 minutes in. So, yeah, see what he says. I'll say it now. I can't stand Coventry. I still hate them. So I'll get it out now. But before we start, are we both all right?
Yeah, can I?
Yeah. I've survived a day at work. It was tiring after a long day yesterday, but yeah, I'm right as rain now.
It was a long day, like I've got to admit. But I say we'll go into that in a little bit because it was a cracker. I proper enjoyed yesterday, despite the last 20 minutes of the game. But hey ho, right, Sheffield United. I'll come to you, Cut. I'll make this question a bit of a long one because you still.
Go on.
Right. Sheffield United. I'll let you do the couple of minutes with Sheffield United. Big win, especially against him in the other dugout, who tried to take the pressure off himself by saying, they're a massive club. He did it after the game as well. They've spent all this money, they've spent this, spent that. We're still a work in progress. They've been doing it for 2 years. Even though it was 1-0, and we'll talk about the goal scorer in a minute, and the person that set him up as well, because it was a big moment for him as well. I thought we thoroughly deserved them 3 points on Wednesday. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought first 10 minutes, I thought we looked a little bit nervy.
Yeah.
They came out and moved the ball pretty well.
Which is understandable, isn't it? Especially after the Bristol City game.
Absolutely, but I thought once we got to terms with what they were doing, I thought we moved the ball really well. We created the better chances. And in the end, thoroughly deserved the win for me.
Yeah, and I say the guy that got the goal didn't start on Wednesday. We all said it's time for him to be taken out the firing line, rightfully so. As good as the lad is, he still needed that little bit of a break. Came on. I'm not exaggerating. What was it? Second, third touch?
Possibly, yeah.
Cracking header, wasn't it?
Unbelievable
header.
Listen, Azaz gets a lot of stick about. Ultimately, he's in there. He needs to start scoring some goals and creating a little bit more. But that was a world-class ball, and it was a great finish from Latalaf. Much needed goal. But the player he replaced, I thought, played really well. Didn't score on the night, but his work rate's really good. But it's not just running about like a headless chicken. He creates space for the other players.
Yeah.
If you watch him for a bit, it's clever runs in behind the defenders, taking people away. I really like the look of Conway, me.
He's a proper number 9, isn't he? Like, if you go back to the, I suppose, 10, 15 years ago, the strikers that did them little runs and, a bit like, I don't want to swear, Shearer used to grab a defender and take him away and let people like Bellamy and that run round and do the donkey work kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what we've got, that kind of player, haven't we? He'll suck defenders in and create all that space for, the likes of Ben Doak, Riley McGree, whoever it is that's going to run round him, to create them little bits of play and link the other players around him as well.
He's clever. Like I say, he's clever. His movement off the ball's really good, and it's not just closing players down. It's movement to create space for players like Azaz, Riley McGree, Howson, Hackney, whoever's in midfield, Morris, whoever's playing. He's a clever player, and I think he's going to be a really good footballer for this football club, and he's just going to improve and get better and better.
Yeah.
Very impressed with him.
Oh, absolutely. And John Don, obviously the ball in for Latte Laugh as well. Finn Azaz put the ball in. He got a bit of stick from us last week as well, rightfully, wrongfully. But, we were sort of thought, take him out, but he was left in. He was one. There was only one change, wasn't there? Was there one change? Wasn't there against Sheffield United?
Yeah.
Double check that for me. But the ball in was a beaut, wasn't it? It was bang on the centre spot. They say Latte Laugh made that little run, and they say the keeper, he didn't even move, did he? Before the ball even hit the net, he did a bit of a jokey dive just to say like, look, I tried to get it, but we all knew that we was going nowhere near it.
Yeah, I think there was two changes. Was Hamilton? He was dropped, wasn't he?
Yeah, Hamilton and
or change.
McGree and Conway.
That's right. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. And if you remember, I was one who said that I quite like Azaz, and I'm not going to sort of like pat myself on the back, but I do like Azaz. I think he does so much more than people give him credit for. I know sometimes his dead balls, especially from corners, aren't brilliant, but he does offer us things that others don't, like that ball in for the goal. He was going to put it in. He adjusted himself. I think he maybe looked up and waited until Lath was back on side, and then he put it perfectly for Lath to run on to between the two centre halves and bury it. And it was a fantastic goal. It was a really, really good goal. And what a relief, and what noise from the crowd when it went in. It was superb.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was getting towards that point where you think, it's not going to quite go for us. But against a team that's at the time they only had one defeat in the league. I say they've had two defeats in a row with Leeds on the Friday night as well. You think it's not a bad point because it's a team that's going to be up there. And we were begging for that bit of control to come in and say, right, this is the time where you've got to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and say, right, we need to finish this. And I say that's what we did when Latte Laugh got that goal on Wednesday, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
go on, John.
Sorry, John, you go first. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we more than matched them. Some Borough fans thought we'd get bullied out of it by a wilder team, but I didn't see any evidence of that, and I never really thought it would happen. I thought from 1 to 11, even when the subs came on, they put in a shift. And like I said earlier, it was a thoroughly deserved win in my eyes.
It was thoroughly deserved, and it was important. We all, as fans, we all wanted to get one over on Chris Wilde, but we also had in our mind the Bristol City game, and I thought the crowd could have been very nervy because it's a tough opponent. We just had a poor performance against Bristol City. It could have been a nervy atmosphere. I thought the crowd were brilliant. Got behind the team, really sort of drove them on. We rode our luck at times, as John said earlier, but we deserved the win, and it set us up nicely for Saturday, didn't it? For Sunday, rather.
I know it was weird, wasn't it? Sunday 3 o'clock instead of Saturday 3 o'clock. But quickly from the pair of you, man of the match. I'll start with you, Cut.
I know this. I think Sky gave it to Azaz, but for me, Edmondson was absolutely outstanding against Sheffield United. I thought he was great. Mm-hmm. So that's my man of the match.
I've got to agree totally. I thought the two centre halves for us were excellent, and Edmondson for me shaded it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll back that as a 3. Yeah, I thought Edmund was great. He's got his own little chant as well. which we sang on the way home yesterday.
He's got several, hasn't he?
I think he had
I
about
think
2 hours.
I think we were trying to shoehorn his name into most songs that came on the playlist.
Fair
Good.
play to him, to be honest, because he got a bit of stick after Bristol City, where he was at fault for one of the goals. So good performance.
Well, he took it quite
good
personal,
good
didn't
mentality to come back. Well, judging on his performance, he's it's like sticking two fingers up at certain critics. So
absolutely.
perfect for me because it was an excellent comeback. So fair play to the lad.
Spot on, because he knows how big this year is for him as well. He doesn't look like he's going to get a new deal with Ipswich. This is kind of his audition, isn't it, for the season now? You know, by the sounds of what he's saying already, he's quite settled where he is. He's happy up here. He's found somewhere where he's found a good relationship with players, staff, whoever. And I love that. I absolutely love that. So, here, I thought he was brilliant on Wednesday. But, right, yesterday, great win. Went into yesterday. It was going to Carrow Road's never easy. It's never easy. You know, we've one of them grounds. I mean, I'll always go back to that game in 2004 when we were 4-1 up and balls it up. But John Don's early start yesterday. Very early for us. But luckily the clocks went back. So firstly, people didn't turn up an hour early. To get on the bus, or they might have and just fashioned it off and never told anyone. But early start, but we were in quite good spirits, weren't we? We thought, there's somewhere. Norwich were the kind of team where we could play our own game because they weren't going to sit back, were they? They were always going to have quite a little go to us, weren't they?
Yeah, we've got a decent record, record at Carrow Road in recent seasons. So. After the win, and the feel good factor after the Sheffield Wednesday game, I mean, Sheffield United, the atmosphere. I'm tired still, sorry.
God knows how we made it through work today.
The atmosphere was positive traveling down. I mean, I put something I think on Saturday after the other championship matches run. But if we win, we go into top 6 first time this season.
Yeah.
And I felt that we could. And it was a long journey, but it was decent. It was good. We got to a nice pub. Some of us sat outside in the beer garden because it was really warm. And it was just a nice build up to the game.
It was, wasn't it? It didn't feel like October. Yesterday, I've got to admit. I know it's really weird talking about the weather on this. I'm really sorry, but it didn't feel.
It's in relation to beer gardens, so it's football related, isn't it?
That's very, very true. But yes, we had a few slurps before we got to the ground. I had a walk down to Carrow Road. Team news came through as we were heading away through the traffic. One change, is that right? One change. Dyke-Steele for Ayling. Start with you, Cut. What did you think of that change?
I don't mind it.
Because we spoke about Ayling last week, didn't we? He's got the armband on, but he's not quite the leader that he's portraying that you want from that armband. Was it time to just take him out the firing line a little bit?
I don't know. He made a world-class clearance, didn't he, against Sheffield United?
Yeah.
We can't forget about that.
I mean, we just did. But
I think he's at an age now where I don't think he's going to play every minute of every game, and I think we've got more than a capable backup in Dyke-Steele.
Oh, God, yeah. Where's Tommy Smith? That's my question.
Yeah, I think I was reading an article. He's a couple of weeks away, isn't he?
Oh, good.
With Bangura, Lenahan's the same.
Bangura's on his way back.
Well, no, he's a while. Them three are a while off, aren't they? They were saying.
I can hear Jamie doing backflips, something like that.
Lenahan had some kind of problem with his ankle after his Achilles injury, so he's going to be a while, which is a massive miss for us, in my opinion. Yeah. But we'll get to that later on.
Agreed.
But regarding Dyke-Steele, I think he's a capable backup. And I think he had a really good game yesterday. Wouldn't say he was at fault for any of the goals. Yeah, I thought, and going forward for one of the goals, he was like prime Cafu, wasn't he? Oh. So yeah, I thought it was a good performance. And I always say, if you play well in that shirt, you keep the shirt. So for me, he deserves to stay in against Coventry next week. So yeah. I mean, fair play to the lad. Absolutely, he's been in and out quite a lot this season. A lot of people didn't think he was Carrick's cup of tea, but he's still at the football club. Never lets us down, 100%. Never caused a bit of bother, so I have no problem with Dyke-Steele.
I agree with that. He's you can have them players, but if they're not quite the manager's cup of tea, he's not going to be in every week. They can start becoming a problem, can't they? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
throwing a fuss. He hasn't thrown a fuss once. He's never thrown a bad word out there, even if it's through his family or friends or whatever. He's never done that. But what did you think of the change, John Don? Were you happy with that?
I was okay with it, yeah. Like John said regarding Ayling, maybe he's the schedule of the championship. Sometimes you just need to take a step back. Like I said, there's the sports scientists at the football club who take regular samples from the players, and they can tell how the body's doing. So the player might feel fine, but the samples that they take from them might tell the sports scientists to maybe speak to the manager and just say, give him a break. So I'm assuming that's all it was. I can't imagine that it was tactical in any way. It was just maybe a rest for Luke Ayling.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was happy with the team. It was attacking. It's becoming regular, isn't it? Like the main players in the team, you keeper, your centre backs, your centre midfield. It's becoming a regular occurrence, and that's what you want, a bit of continuity to go forward and keep pressing on. So then we'll talk about the game. Right. First goal, Norwich. Take your hat off. It's a hell of a finish. Right?
Yeah. Sometimes you watch a game of football.
Mm-hmm.
The management team and the coaches, they'll pick something out that we could have done better, but like you say, you've got to doff your cap sometimes. That was a top finish. Keeper didn't stand a chance. And to be fair, they started pretty well. I thought for the first 10 minutes, they had a few shots. We looked a little bit off it to start with. But as we'll talk later on, I thought we grew in the game. So fair play to him for the goal. It was a top goal and a top finish.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the wind was right behind it, John Don. We were right behind that shot. It was a hell of a finish. But Coach is right. They started on the top. But I expect that from a home team. That's how you should start as a home team. Put yourself forward straight away. Put the pressure on the away team. Say, this is you come to us. We dictate how this goes. And they got their reward, didn't they? What I say was, I mean, I don't want to be too critical. I don't know what Vandenberg was doing, where he was. He seems to have come out from the back line. I'm not going to be too critical, but that's the only thing I could pick out, really. But I can't really say anything else but apart from hell of a finish.
Yeah, it was. And I think we've said in the past, sloppy goals are frustrating. They're a nightmare. That you pull your hair out, but goals that you can do very little about, you just take it on the chin, and that was a hell of a finish. A really, really top quality strike. And Deja had no chance.
No, but as soon as that goal went in, though, it's like our reaction was brilliant. They say the fans stuck with him. They say we were like, "Don't worry, come on. This is not. It wasn't the plan, but you know what I mean. But this is where we can really kick into gear now and get at them." If I was a Norwich fan, I'd be absolutely tearing my hair out about what the keeper was doing. You should never be beat from where he was, George Long, when you conceded the goal. But are we going to give Neil Borges a bit of credit? That ball in was an absolute beaut. Right on the money, right on Tommy Conway's right foot. And if Conway doesn't get it, Edmondson's right behind him. He was right in the box. But John, it was a great finish. I know the keeper's mistake was a bit of a, but first time finish, it was great.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'd give the keeper a great deal of stick for that, because Conway hit the ball into the ground, and that's difficult for a keeper. And I think, did it come off his thigh or something and go into the net? I don't mean off Conway's thigh. I mean off the keeper's thigh. So it was difficult for the keeper, but it was a brilliantly taken goal. Like you say, the cross was in a great area of the box, and Conway reacted to get on the end of it and managed to finish it well.
He did. Great finish. Third goal of the season. Third goal of the season?
Third, yeah.
It was his third, yeah.
10 minutes before half time, made it 4. But I don't want to talk about the finish just yet. I want to talk about that little winger we've got from Liverpool. First of all, I'm going to put right on the records, right? Don't do this often. Whoever was at Liverpool decided he can go out on loan. Thank you. Thank you so much. Because I'm going to enjoy watching this lad play football and develop with us for as long as we've got him, because he's an absolute talent. that run cuts he made from the edge of our box till I think it's about 35 yards out, and then pinged the ball into Dyke's jail. I don't want to big him up too much, but his low centre of gravity to move with the ball, he looks special. He looks very special, that kid.
He does. I mean, he's 18-year-old. He's a. I don't like to call him a kid, but he is. Ultimately, he's a kid.
Yeah, he is.
And they were trying to bring him down. They were trying to tug on his shirt, but he was strong for an 18-year-old lad. Running at that pace to keep on his feet the whole time he did. It was a joy to watch. To be fair, let's be honest. That not just his run, the whole goal. It was a joy to watch, and some of the football we played prior to that as well. You mentioned Conway's goal there. Was it great on the eye? No, it wasn't great on the eye, but he got the shot on target. How many times have we missed the target this year? Got to force the keeper.
Yeah.
Don't get it in between the posts. You don't score. So yeah, it was a great goal. Great work by Doak. And we said it from day one. I love how positive he is. He gets the ball and he's trying to take him on. That fullback yesterday, he must have had nightmares about him last night because he absolutely ripped him to bits.
He did. I mean, I don't think his natural left back. I think he's a centre back put in, but he was absolutely torn to pieces yesterday.
You've got to remember as well, he's only going to get better. I think his final ball can get a little bit better.
Oh, gotcha.
It's not. I'm not criticising him. He's just a young lad.
Yeah.
He is going to be a top player.
Yeah.
He's got everything.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And the type of goal is exactly what I thought we'd get off them as well. Like, we just hit him on the counter, the ball to Dijksteel, and then we're all screaming because there's two players waiting. Just pass one more, and we've got this. And the pass from Dijksteel was brilliant, and the finish from Conway, first time as well, under pressure, because the keeper was coming back scrambling. Oh,
it's not just the pass. It's not just the pass from Dijksteel, is it? It's the fact he ran 60, 70 yards to be up with play because that was really good as well. It was top quality all round. Excellent.
Unbelievable run. They say, John Don, I mean, were you stood on the side of the safe where the rails were, or were you the other side?
No, we just had sort of like the seat in front of us and the person. So if we were to fall, we would have fell on them.
The seat and the person?
Yeah, we didn't have a rail then.
Right.
But yeah, before the second goal, we were really turning it on and putting them under pressure.
Yeah,
our keeper had to make 2 or 3 great saves. From one from McGree, one from Hackney. We really had a spell of pressure where we literally ripped them to shreds. They were twisting and turning, and they didn't know where the next butter player was coming from. And like you say, Ben Doak, he made that fullback look like a proper Doyle, didn't he?
Very good. Well done.
All right, sorry about that. But for the second goal, I mean, Cuts is right. I don't know which Norwich player it was, but he had 3 attempts to pull him back. One left shoulder, one right shoulder, one left shoulder again. He was strong enough to withstand that.
Yeah.
Keep the ball under control, and then put a brilliant ball into Dijksteel. And at one point, I thought Dijksteel was going to have a go himself, but then he just laid it to Conway, and there was a bit of a stretch, but he made it, and it was a great finish. It was a great counter-attacking goal, ideal. So like team goal, if you know what I mean. It was fantastic, and obviously we enjoyed it in the stands. It was superb.
I was going to say, the only reason I asked that because I've never seen so many people tip over railing in my life. It was just like dominoes. Do you remember a few years ago when I stood behind you at Norwich and everybody absolutely piled on when Crook scored the winner? It was like that, right, but it was like that, but there was a rail in between. It was like you were playing. You know when you played table football as a kid and you just twirled the guys round? That's what it was. They're all twirling forward. It was great. It was superb. Imagine the person that put that in for that. Yeah, that's made its purpose. Brilliant. It was superb. Yeah. And then just as we're recovering, we hit him again. And again, he made a good save, George Long. Pushed it out, pushing it in the area where he should do. But I say we were there again, pushed the ball back in the box. There was 2 waiting, and Finners has made it 3. And as everybody's just catching their breath, John Don, I guess, right, I might go and get me half-time pint now. We're all back down the stairs again.
Yeah, I mean, the third goal, I think it was deserved on our performance for the last 35 minutes of the first half. Doug put the ball across. I think it took a slight touch off Conway, who tried to make contact with it. I think it took a slight touch off him, and then Finners I think he knocked it in with his knee or the top of his shin.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because we were 3-1 up and we were going absolutely mental in the stands, and it was thoroughly deserved. Fantastic end to the first half. A half in which, barring the initial spell, we totally dominated.
Yeah, I mean, I said you, didn't it?
And it was that was as good as I've seen us play for a decent spell of time all season, and it just shows what we're capable of.
I was literally just about to say the same thing, because I said exactly the same thing to Cuts before we started tonight. That 10-15 minutes, I know we had a very dominant 35 minutes, like you said, but Cuts, that 10-15 minutes, that's the best I've seen us play for a very long time. We were absolutely, we were deadly on the break. Every time we went forward, I thought we could score again here.
Yeah, well, I think there's two things I'd say. I'd think if you're a neutral and you tuned into that game yesterday,
Oh, you really enjoyed
and you
that.
normally watch the Premier League and you watch that first half, you would watch that and you would think, bloody hell, fair play to Norwich because they contributed to the game as well. They were open. But you must look at that and you think, tell you what, Borough don't have to play some good football. How are they so low in the league? And I said this at half-time yesterday, which was followed by, we need to keep switched on. There's no team in that league that can live with us when we're on it. And I stand by it. Forget the result yesterday. If we perform to the levels that I expect and I know they can produce, and we've seen it in spells, there's not one team in that division who can live with us. Burnley, Leeds, Sunderland 10 points ahead of us. People think I'm mental saying it. There's no chance. Not one team in the league will be able to live with us if we can find consistency. And we'll go into it in the second half where my demeanour, my tone of my voice might change a little bit. But they're so frustrating. They really are.
Yeah, they are. But let's live in the moment a bit before we kick into the frustration. I've got to back him there, John Don. I think in a roundabout way in between karaoke and Bailey's and whatever on the way home, I think we all kind of agreed on that. When we get going, we really are one of the best teams in this league.
The best team.
Okay, there you go. That's me told. The best team in this league. And I can't really disagree because we've got everything. We've been saying it for weeks. We've got everything this year. We've got no excuses. We just need to be more clinical, as we're obviously going to talk about. But
yeah, well, we were obviously in that first half on Sunday. But that you're right. That is what we're capable of, and that's standards that we've got to try and maintain. And even if we can't maintain those high standards on a regular basis, still get a result, and that's what it's all about. It's picking up points, picking up wins, scrappy wins when you're not performing to the best of your ability. But consistency is the key in this division, and I'd like to see us, start a long unbeaten run where we sort of like pick up the majority of wins and a few draws here and there. But I'd like to see us go on a nice unbeaten run and just steadily but slowly climb up the places in that championship table.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we've gone about the good stuff. Let's go into the bad stuff now. Penalty. It's a penalty. I've seen the replays. I had no doubts in the stands. Absolute stonewall. Defender lost his bearings. McGreen nipped in front of him. Stonewall.
Well, there was no complaints from Norwich players, was there?
Nah, there was no complaints from their stands really either. You usually have them grumblings around where they're thinking, a few boos before before they start trying to pull him off. But even they thought, oh God, yeah, he's caught him. There's no ifs or buts. But I don't watch penalties, as you lads know. I usually put my attention elsewhere. Look elsewhere, and usually just wait for the absolute bombardment from above me to jump on me. when we scored, but that never came yesterday. Cuts, I'll start with you. How much? Obviously, it's a turning point. It really was a turning point, though, in the terms that we wouldn't be having these conversations if that goal had gone in. We'd be having conversations of how did we not put 5, 6, or even 7 past these? Because we were that dominant, we were that quick. We still had everything on the pitch, didn't we?
Yeah. Like you have said, it's a Stonewall penalty. But if anyone thinks I'm going to sit here and criticise Tommy Conway for doing a stutter run-up and missing a penalty, I'm not.
Oh, God, no.
The 2 Ronaldos, Diego Maradona, Platini, best players in the world miss penalties. We didn't draw that game yesterday because he missed a penalty.
No.
If he'd have scored, we'd have won. I totally
gotcha.
agree. But I'm not going to sit here and criticise him for missing a penalty and how he took
No.
it. He did the same earlier in the season and scored it. So yeah.
I said the same thing on the way home. I don't think Tommy Conway cost us 3 points. There's no way. What we did after and the decisions we made cost us 3 points.
It was the turning point in the game, but that's a fact.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and criticise him.
No. But I found it strange, John, and there was a few people around me as well, the timing of the subs after it. For me, you've got to give him a bit more time on the pitch just to get over, the disappointment of missing the penalty, trying to pull it right. Because he in his post-match interview, because he spoke to BBC Tees after, and he said exactly what I just said. We wouldn't be having this conversation if I'd scored. If I score, we'd have gone on and won the game by more. But unfortunately, he did miss. But I just felt that the timing of the substitution was a bit... The substitution was right. Man for man, it's right. I just thought, give him a bit more time on the pitch, or am I just talking rubbish as usual?
Well, you're not talking rubbish, it's your opinion, but I don't agree with it on this occasion. I thought there was no reason to take Ben Doak off. I just think he was having a busy, successful afternoon, giving them lots of problems. I didn't think he needed to go off at that point.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, his replacement didn't have the same impact as Ben Doak did. And the missed penalty gave their crowd a boost. Must have given their players a boost also. And we just needed to settle the game down at that point. But shortly after the penalty miss, that Sainz comes up again and scores an even better goal than the first one, and then the game really did sort of alter. And I had flashbacks of the 4-4 scoreline you mentioned earlier, thinking that we've got to hang on here, but as regards to substitutions, I didn't think they needed to be made at that point.
Yeah.
And the personnel changes that he did make, I thought that they wouldn't have been my choice.
Yeah, I mean, we said that, didn't we? I don't know why he's brought Ben Doak off. I really don't.
I think the last one I can sort of understand, but after missing the penalty, I would have gave Conway another 5-10 minutes because he'd have been busting a gut to try and make amends for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that one I could understand, and I thought John's points there, they were well reasoned, calm, calculated. The Doak one for me, mental. Absolutely mental. He tortured him, unless there's something that we're not privy to, like he had a slight calf strain going into the game, or he tweaked something, but I haven't heard none of that. So if he's fully fit, not injured, it didn't look like he'd busted gasket. He hadn't gone. Still causing him loads of problems. Mental.
Yeah, it was
for me.
Yeah, it was a strange one for me as well. I thought he was. We've been saying for weeks, wait for the kid to get going because he really will show you something special. And he was absolutely all over that fullback. He didn't give him time. Even when they had the ball, he didn't give him time because the pressing game was just perfect yesterday. I thought we were really good at our pressing game and forced him into mistakes as well, especially that first half. But yeah, as soon as Jones came on, it seemed like the game changed. I mean, fair enough, that second goal, as soon as he hit it, I went, that's in. It's just one of those shots. But like what Finners had scored last year for Plymouth against us. As soon as he hit it, I went, that's in. Don't even think it's in. Fair play to Dieng. he got a hand to it yesterday. Unbelievably, he got a hand to it. Obviously, he couldn't get anywhere near trying to stop it. And then, like John said, they were just all over us. Everything was just against us. The momentum, the swing of things had just gone. And we were in backwards mode, and we just seemed to. Even when we got the ball, like when Latiroff got the ball, usually he's perky, he's lively, he runs about. We just seemed to stutter. I don't know if the shock had hit us. I don't know, but we just seemed to stop.
I think.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, after the penalty miss, our fans sort of like froze a little bit, didn't we, for a while?
Yeah, we did.
And their fans got up for it, and like you say, within a few minutes of the penalty miss, they were like one goal behind, back in the game, and that lifted the whole stadium. And unfortunately, we as fans tried to sort of lift our team, but I think there was a lot of fans absolutely in shock, or they just stunned into silence, because we were not making, even though we were still 3-2 ahead, we were nowhere near making the amount of noise we made 5 minutes previous, just before the penalty. So, yeah, the penalty miss sort of changed the game for obvious reasons. And man, I still can't get my head around, the fact that well, I could be looking at the league table today. We could be 6th and 3 points behind the second place. Unfortunately, we're a couple of extra points off that. But I'm not going to dwell on the negatives of yesterday. I'm going to look at the positives, and they say if we can continue to play like we did at Norwich, obviously barring the sloppy spell we had, we'll be in the mix come May, definitely.
Yeah, and I felt as well, I don't know about you, Cut, looking at Norwich as well, they're going to be one of them teams, I think they're going to be not far away from us. I thought at times they well matched us. I thought that spell, we showed for me, we are the better team than them. We are. But they're not going to be far away from us. They're going to be. There's always that big pack of 10 teams, isn't there?
They'll be there or thereabouts.
Yeah,
and they're going to be one of them, aren't they? So
yeah. We've got a little bit of a vulnerability, haven't we? And they exposed that. And again, it comes down to what we do rather than what the opposition does. We create our own problems, don't we?
So I think there's a couple of things that came out about it. I've been a massive champion of Isaiah Jones, me.
yeah,
Very rarely get on his back. But his confidence looks absolutely shot to me. So much so that I actually think Bergzorg's a better option than Jones at the moment. I think Jones will get back to it eventually, but I think he's a bad option for us at the moment because he's coming on, he's not doing anything.
Do you think the shock of him being taken out for Dork, because it was always coming? We always saw it. Do you think that's not? Some players use it and thrive and get even better and push on and push themselves back ahead of that player. Do you think he's not quite got to that point where he's thinking, he's that more of I don't know what to do kind of thing? He's hitting with a bit of shock and he's not dealing with it very well.
Possibly, but the best players react to that, losing a spot and coming back stronger and doing what the manager wants him to do, or even like we've said a couple of weeks ago that we hope Jones goes back to how he was before, where he was a bit more like Dork, positive, have a run at them. We all know that's what he's like when he's at his best, and at his best he's a good championship player.
Yeah,
but there's that point. I think, like I say, I think Bergdorf's now a better option at the moment than Jones. But at 3-2 yesterday, John sort of alluded to it there. Go down, roll about the pitch, take the sting out of their fans who were well up for it then at that point. We just need a little bit of professionalism. I keep talking about leaders on the pitch, and we haven't got it. We can say, we can sugarcoat it and say we were brilliant. We are throwing far too many points away. This team shouldn't be out the top two, never mind out the playoffs. We've thrown too many points away already. I still firmly believe, like John, that we'll be, for me, I still think they'll be top two. But they need to cut this out, and they need to cut it out quick.
Yeah, regarding Isaiah Jones, I think, there'll be people within the management team, who will know how to handle this situation of players who drop whose confidence drops, who drop their head and look a pale shadow of the former self. They'll have handled situations like this many times. So let's hope, like John says, that we can get Isaiah Jones back to the player that we know he's capable of, and that the whole Riverside soon singing his song, singing his name, and giving him the confidence, to help us get where we want to be.
Yeah.
Nobody will know more than himself that he's not firing. He'll know that himself. So, not that he's going to tune in and listen to us, but what we're saying is he'll be thinking it himself. He'll know that he's not on it at the moment. So
No, you're absolutely right. And I just think back to a year ago. Just think of that 20-minute spell against Sunderland where he just absolutely tore them to pieces. That's what I want him to be back at. That. Because for me, you could stick Ben Doak on the other side. Bang Riley in the middle, which is very harsh on the sides, I know. Bang Riley in the middle, Jones on that lip. Them three behind a striker. I don't know if there's better in this league. I really don't.
A Jones that's firing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But he's far from it at the moment.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, God, yeah. But that's what I mean. If them three on form behind a striker, I wouldn't like to go against it. So, but, yeah, that was the frustration, unfortunately. 2 drop points, because it was 2 drop points. When you're 3-1 up with half an hour to go, it's 2 drop points. There's no ifs or buts.
Well, when you're 3-1 up, with your centre forward taking a penalty, it's certainly 2 points dropped. Yeah. I mean, that was the biggest disappointment for me, because at half time, I was talking to like people in the concourse. I'd set my sights on being in that top 6, running up to the Coventry game, being a few points behind the second and third place team. I'd set my heart on that, and being within clawing distance. So it was a massive disappointment the way the game panned out.
Yeah,
I think ultimately, I know we haven't talked about it yet, but before I say this, I will say I wouldn't drop him for the next game. Because if Bryn comes in and makes a mistake, I don't want to see the keepers getting chopped every single game. That is an absolute stinker from Deja yesterday.
Yeah.
Absolute stinker. So ultimately, people can talk about the penalty miss. That howler's what's cost us the 3 points yesterday. Now what? He's had some discerning voices through short passes that he's given. You can hear them in the fans. But I don't blame him for that, because that's how he's told to play by the manager.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him for that.
Agreed.
But I can't defend him for that yesterday, because it was brutal, to be fair. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, it was poor positioning. And I must admit, at the time, I thought the ball had clipped the post and then went onto his boots and into the net. I didn't realise that he'd parried it out onto his feet, and so I, from my viewpoint, I saw it slightly differently. It was only when I looked at the highlights that I realised that it didn't clip the post. It was just him pushing it onto himself. But even so, he wouldn't have had to scramble back there. His positioning had been better for the. It wasn't a shot for the cross. If his position had been better, he wouldn't have had to scramble back and make a last ditch attempt. He would have been in a better position, and he'd have had more time to collect it in a more comfortable manner.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, fair play to him. After he's parried the ball out, he showed great reflexes to smash it back in the net. So yeah, well done.
Great finish, wasn't it? But it was just the positioning was wrong. Everything was wrong. It was just that deflection when he hits this. If he tried that 100 times, I bet he couldn't hit his foot to go in the net. I bet he couldn't. It was, but he shouldn't be in that position in the first place. You get that positioning right, he just catches it, and then we go back up the pitch. We have another goal and catch him on the account with us.
Yeah. Again, it's how you react to things that go wrong. So be interesting next few games to see how Senny reacts. And
yes,
hopefully from all of us, our point of view,
absolutely,
makes some world class saves and
yes,
shows us what he can do against.
Exactly.
Well, to be honest, I hope he doesn't have a save to make, and that means we're playing comfortably well. But if called upon, I do hope that he ends his coin.
Spot on. Right, before I let Simon in to come and talk to us about Coventry, give their perspective on the weekend's game. I'll start with you. Cut your man of the match from yesterday.
I think 2 goals. I'm going to give it a Conway. Like I say, I think off the ball, people don't realise what he does as well. His movement's really good, creating space. So I'll go with Conway for yesterday.
Okay. John Donald, come to you.
Yeah, I thought there was a couple of contenders, but I'm going to plump for Ben Doak. I just thought he was absolutely torturing their fullback on both flanks, and he was the reason we were 3-1 up. And I just thought he got the hook early, and I didn't think he should have got the hook anyway, but he got the hook early. But anyway, yeah, Ben Doak.
Yeah, it was too early for me. I'm going to go for the guy I spent 2.5 hours of my 5-hour journey back home singing about. I'm going to go for George Edmondson. I thought he was brilliant. He is turning out to be a little leader. If you watch him, we'll have the pleasure of watching him again Saturday. He's starting to be that person at the back who does a bit of barking. He's the one that's telling Vandenberg to get back in line. He's the one that's telling Neto Borges, stay in your position, don't push too far forward. He's starting to be the barker, which I like. I love. He's not the leader yet, absolutely not. I can see by your face you disagree with us so much. But he's starting to become that player. And you know what? I don't mind him. I think I love him. I love George Edmondson. Yes, clip that if you want. I don't care.
I like him myself, but all that glorious football we played yesterday, we conceded 3 goals and you're giving the centre half a man the match.
Oh yeah, it's mental. It's absolutely mental. But apart from because Josh Sargent is one of the most dangerous strikers in this league when he gets going, but he locked him up yesterday. He locked him up. He had nothing. I don't remember Sargent being in the game much yesterday. So yeah. There you go. There's man of the match. Disagree if you want. I don't care. And clips me saying I love George Edmondson. I don't care. Right.
I'm sure he'll be buzzing.
Oh, he'll be buzzing with that. Yeah. So right. Join us now because we're going to talk about Coventry at the weekend. Yes, them again. Unfortunately, we seem to be bumping into them every 6 months. Unfortunately, sometimes twice in the week. Honestly, joined by Simon Lillibury from that Cov Pod. That is a mouth. I can't get my words around that one.
That Cov Pod.
Yeah, that one. Simon, how are you?
Very good. Thank you for having me on. Looking forward to this weekend, and yeah, thanks for having me on.
No, thank you very much for giving up your time to come on. I got the pleasure of watching your game at the weekend against Luton. Bit of Jekyll and Hyde, I've got to admit. I say, as soon as you got that first goal, there was no other winner for me. I thought momentum had swung. A bit like yesterday, as soon as Norwich got their second, it's all about momentum. But talk to us a bit about Coventry's season, because from the back outer looking in, there's a bit of discontent about, but we always see it as you don't start till game 10 or 11 this season anyway. So this is about right for you lot to start winning. So, but from your point of view, talk to us about your season so far.
Yeah, well, there's a bit of a saying when the clocks go back, Coventry go forward. So we kind of have to wait until the clocks go back before we start playing any actual football, it seems. So best performance of the season against Luton on Saturday by far. We seem to have gone to 3 at the back in the last few games, which has helped us out slightly. The season so far, it was a case of we thought we'd have a good start this season. There was no excuses about a dodgy pitch. We had a settled squad. We got to the FA Cup semi-final last year. All the same players were kind of about. We only lost Callum O'Hare and Casey Palmer over the summer. Added Jack Rodoni and a couple of others. But it was really disappointing the way we started. I think you guys will know as well, the expectation around us this season was potentially a lot higher than it has been in recent years. I think we struggled there. There's been a few things going on behind the scenes with the likes of Adi Vivash, the assistant manager, leaving. Him and Robbins had a great relationship and worked together quite closely with great success to drag us up kind of through the divisions. So we had those two, their relationship kind of ended behind the scenes, and then Vivesh left. Dennis Lawrence, the key coach, left as well, and we've replaced them with these new other coaches. And it's been difficult for Robbins to changed the way he's had to work, I think, this season. Different support staff around him, few different voices to be heard. And we've got a very, very young squad. A lack of leaders has been the big issue with us. Our centre halves are 23, 24. Sheaf is captain, he's 26. And I think against QPR, he might be the only one who was above 25. So we've got a really young squad. We've also got no loan players this season, which is another issue for Cov fans. Players from Premier League clubs and stuff. It's something we've decided not to do under Doug King. He wants to buy our own players, have these assets that we can then sell on in the future, like Ellis Sims and Hadji Wright and these sorts of players. But you've seen how loans have helped other kind of teams in this league. And it does feel like for the first part of the season, it's hampered us slightly with the lack of leaders, the lack of loans, just that kind of rock at the back. This summer, we lost Liam Kelly, Matty Godden, Simon Moore left the club as well. Like, these are players who have been with us for a little while, who have been real leaders. Carl McFadden last season went to Blackburn. He's doing pretty well there. And it feels like there wasn't those players kind of stepping up to take the responsibility. Now, I can sit here and be a lot happier about things because we came from 2-0 down, dead and buried against Luton, and won the game. The fans have been really good with Robbins. They were singing his name at 2-0 down. They stuck with the team when, we'd been to bottom of the league QPR and not beaten them. We'd lost to Preston, who we always lose to. We were in the bottom three before we played Luton. I think if we'd have lost, we'd have potentially even been bottom, maybe just above Portsmouth. 2-0 down. We didn't deserve to be 2-0 down. Fans stuck with the team and we managed to turn it around. But it was a really good 90-minute performance from us on Saturday. And I'm so much happier now than I was this time last week.
Yeah, I can imagine because, like you said, 2-0 down. I have to say fair play to the fans because there was a lot of support for Mark Robbins. But I said discontent because I did see the videos that came out after Preston. A lot of fans criticising the players for not being as appreciative towards them fans that travelled. They were just a bit like lackadaisical about showing their appreciation. Mark Robbins then said, "No, it's on me, not them," which is fair play. I like that. What's the overall feeling? Is it still we are backing him, or would it have been? I know he was singing his name Saturday, or would it have been we lose to Luton, he could be in trouble here? Is he that sort of close to the edge, or?
Not quite that close. I think if we're going into a tough run of fixtures now, starting with you guys away, we've got Sunderland away, we're playing Burnley soon, Sheffield United soon. I think that's 4 of our next 5. So you look at those run of fixtures, and if we're not winning games, and if we'd have lost to Luton, I think come the next international break, there might have been a bit more pressure on. I think majority of the fan base has been give Robbins till Christmas at the very least, and until the new year, and see where we are. If we're in the bottom 3 at Christmas, then potentially it's another conversation. But I think after the Preston game or after the QPR game, there was a Twitter poll that was put out. It was after the Preston game. We just lost. It was frustrating for everyone. And it was 80% Robbins in. So that shows you kind of the level of support he has. And it's something I'm kind of quite proud of. We had a manager who in March, hopefully he gets there, will be 8 years in charge, taking us from League Two, FA Cup semi-final, playoff final, penalty shootout. I'd love nothing more than him to take the final step and get us to the Premier League eventually. If it's not this season, it's not this season. But I don't think you find many better managers in the Championship than Mark Robbins. And he does always turn this round. Like the last 2 seasons, we've had terrible starts and they've ended pretty well. We've been a top 6 team, and then I think we finished 9th last season. We do this over Christmas. We kind of come into our own, and I think the fan base, it was one individual really at Preston that kind of had a bit of discussion with Robbins. And Robbins, I don't think liked the comment he said, but the rest of the fan base in that way, and even after another defeat where we were in the bottom 3, were rallying behind him. So it's been positive, and it's been really nice to see kind of the support he still has, and he's touched on that a few times before the Luton game and after it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is good to see. It's good to see a fan base sticking by the manager, especially through such a tough period that he's going through at the moment. Like you said, you start a tough run of games, start with ourselves away this weekend. A lot of talk around the league is Borough look a good side, potentially a very good side, just don't have that killer instinct. Are you of the same opinion? What have you made of Middlesbrough's start of the season?
Very good. in general. I know you don't take your chances, but statistically, creating the most chances in the league, I think Latilath is a great striker as well. He's obviously not been in prolific form so far this season and missing a few of those chances. I also got to watch your game with Norwich this weekend, which magnificent game for both of us this weekend, right? 3-3 at Norwich. You guys are probably seeing that in a more negative light with the penalty you had at 3-1 up, and clearly you should have got 3 points from that game. But if you look at playing like that every week, you're gonna win most games. I've got you kind of as a team that will finish in the top four this season with, a Leeds, a Sunderland, and potentially a Sheffield United as well. So I am really confident that Middlesbrough will have a good season. I think Carrick is a really good manager. I think you guys potentially haven't got the results that your performances have warranted at times. If you keep creating those chances, like the way you played against Norwich, creating those chances and scoring those goals that you did, it's a really tough place to go. Norwich don't lose at home, right? It's a year since they've been beaten at home, and
Hmm.
but you should have won that game. Sometimes it's football, sometimes you don't. Right? Borja Signs scores two unbelievable goals, and Dieng is at the keeper, kind of makes a bit of an error with the third. So I am concerned about us going to Borough, but it's not a game I'm expecting us to win. I'd be delighted with a point. Um, but from your guys' point of view, there's so much to be excited about the football you're playing, the chances you're creating. Defense is, yeah, a little bit dodgy, but I think it's going to be a massively positive season for Borough.
Yeah, it's yeah. You echo what most people have been saying about us. I mean, we've been saying if we put our chances away, we will give a team a good hiding at some point. It could have, for me, it should have happened yesterday. We had them against the wall. They were struggling with the pace, everything about us. We played brilliant football yesterday. But you mentioned Latte Laugh. Is there any other particular player that you're looking at and thinking, I'm not looking forward to going up against him? Is there a particular area that we thrive? You mentioned the defence there. We look a bit weak. Is that an area that the likes of Hadji Wright, Ellis Sims, they're going to go at us a little bit more? Is that what you're expecting from your team at the weekend?
Yeah, I'd pick out Aidan Morris, I think, for you guys. I like his use of the ball. Great pickup, right? You signed him this summer.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
from what I've seen, a brilliant kind of midfielder, can control a game, can really stretch teams as well. But yeah, you're right. So we've had issues with our strikers and formation. We were playing a 4-3-3, bit of a 4-2-3-1. Hadji Wright does a lot of his best work off the left wing. Ellis Sims has been, I don't want to criticize him too much, but very poor so far this season, up until this Saturday, where he played up front with Hadji Wright. And it was a case of Mark Robbins going, right, I'm playing you two up front. You two are the best strikers at the club. Make it work, run, do some hard work, and you'll get your rewards. And they were brilliant. They're both quick, they're both physical, they're a handful. They're not quite Victor Gyökeres, which is still something we're obviously missing. He's torn you guys apart a few times, I know, but it is something that we're working towards to try and build a partnership between those two now. And the switch to three at the back allows us to play the two big strikers up front. We were making too many mistakes losing the ball in midfield and defence earlier in the season. We are going a little more direct down the channels now. I think Robbins is aware of the threats that those two can pose. And if you look at your kind of defence, it's something we need to try and attack if we can, possibly. There's a few issues in terms of we've had one really good performance on Saturday where we beat Luton, but it came when we played Liam Kitching, who's a centre back. He started at left wing back to try and deal with Luton's height. We were 2-0 down. So Jack Rodoni, who's an attacking midfielder, came on at left wing back. He's left footed. He did very, very well there. But there's a situation at our left wing back where we're not sure how to do it away at Borough, I don't think. I think that's quite a difficult game. Jake Bidwell's injured, who would normally start there. Jay De Silva is an option, but he didn't get on the pitch against Luton. So there's a question mark over that position for us in do we play a centre back there? Do we play an attacking midfielder there? Do we go with a left wing back in De Silva, who's very short? So if you've got a bit of height, you might be able to take advantage of that. That's the one question mark really for me going into this game. And of course, when we play Sunderland, we'll probably set up in a similar manner to when we play you guys this weekend.
Yeah. I can't say further than that, to be quite honest. You mentioned a couple of players there. Is there a particular player that you'd pick out that we should be a bit fearful of? I mean, we've been so familiar with you guys in the past few years as it is. There's a few players I'm so glad that have left you, to be quite honest. The likes of Gyökeres, Gus Hyatt. I still get nightmares about him pinging that ball over Dieng. I really do. But it wasn't Dieng, was it? It was Stefan.
It was.
Yeah.
The nightmares aren't that vivid,
Yeah.
are they?
I'd drink them away. Is there any particular other players that have come in that you think could have a good game against us? We could play to their sort of strengths.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we still had Gus. That would be amazing. He gave us the best night of kind of most of our lives at the Riverside. Sorry to rub that one in, but you'd have saved me a few £100 at Wembley to watch us lose on penalties to Luton if you guys had won that. So maybe it was for the best that you didn't go down there and experience what I experienced, because last 2 trips to Wembley have been pretty haunting. In terms of players for us to look at, Ben Sheaf, I think he's in the top 3 midfielders in the Championship. He's been part of the reason we were poor earlier in the season. He was out injured, missed the first 8 games, I think. Has come back into the team recently and been getting up to speed. Really good against Luton. Captain, strong, wins the ball back, demands the ball from our other players, and makes everyone around him kind of lift their game. So what happened against Luton was he got on top of the midfield, and if he can do that against your midfield, which will be, I think, a bit more difficult, we'll have a good chance of getting something. The other one I'll pick out is Tatsuro Sakamoto, a Japanese winger. He usually plays on the wing. He played number 10 against Luton, and he was in and out of the game a bit. He gave away the penalty and was a little bit at fault for the second goal. But going forward, his movement's good. He's very difficult to pick up. If you get him on the wing, he'll probably beat your fullback and get a good set piece delivery in, or a good cross in. Sorry. So it'll be interesting to see whether Robbins goes for him in the number 10 role, because it's not his natural role, but it's this system that we've kind of landed upon that could play out for us. And again, I'll pick out Rodoni. His work on Saturday was excellent. He will be on the pitch somewhere. I'm just not sure where that will be.
Yeah, I think I remember Sakamoto. He had a good game against us in New Year.
He scored. Yeah, he scored the diving header.
Yeah.
At the Riverside. Was it 2-0 or 3-0 last year?
3-0.
Oh, great. You will have the same again, please, on Saturday. That'd be great.
I mean,
well, we'll come to that when we ask you your prediction.
It won't be 3-0.
Well, that's exactly where we are. I mean, I'll hand over to you, Cuts, for that bit. We put on every week. We put a charity bet on. We've not done very well so far this season. I will quite admit that we're at 0 so far. Not for the lack of trying. We've been so close. So if you can, Simon, I've just completely took off from your Cuts. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine.
If I can get from you a score prediction and an anytime scorer, we will happily put that on. So, 3-0 Borough, and who's your scorer?
I will go, because I will be delighted if we get a point. I'll go for a 1-1. If we can keep you down to 1, I'll be impressed, because we've not looked defensively great at times, and your attack is obviously pretty frightening with the chances you create. But I'll go for a 1-1, and it's between Sims and Wright. I'll have to go to score. I'll go for Hadji Wright to score any time, because he also takes our penalties. Yeah. So let's go for that. He is our best forward. He's our best attacker. He's our record signing. He drifts in and out of games, but when he's on it, he is a real handful. When he's not on it, it's frustrating. And that's what we've had this season. A lot of frustration, especially with our forward players. When they're on it, they're on it. It's just getting that consistency. So yeah, I would be delighted with a draw.
Oh, I feel your pain when you say that. I really do. When we're on it, we're on it. But when we're not, it's like a freezing cold bath, unfortunately.
I think you guys have a level of control, though, even when you're not completely on it. I feel like you guys are probably better on the ball, a bit more kind of patient. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you guys haven't really been in the bottom 3 this season, so it's been an easy ride, right?
Well, I'd love to say that. I'd love to say that. But before you go, I'll let you give your podcast a little plug. Let us know where, if you want to have a listen, listen to other teams' podcasts. Let us know about your podcast. The next 30 seconds of yours, Simon.
Yeah, so check out that Cov Pod. We do kind of a weekly episode after each game. We'll be doing one after the Middlesbrough game. So if you want an opposition kind of fans' point of view or whatever the result is, we dive into things. Yeah, so we're on Twitter, that Cov Pod, Spotify, Apple, all the good places to find your podcast. But yeah, that's it really from me.
See,
Now you can hang about if you want and listen to our predictions, or you can get yourself away. It's completely up to you. You'll either laugh at them or you'll be a little bit terrified. So yeah, whatever you want to do.
Maybe I'll stick around just to hear if anyone's predicting not a Borough win.
okay, I'll keep them in. I'll keep them in. So this is where I will hand over to you, Cut, because this is your bit.
Yeah, well, I keep saying we're going to absolutely batter someone this season. And it
I
hasn't
know what's
happened.
coming here.
So I'll watch our guest's face when I say it'll be Conway anytime, 4-0 Borough.
Right, I'm going to the Riverside on Saturday, and if it's 4-0, I'd be a quick exit, I think.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, we owe you, don't we?
Yeah, we do. John Don, come to you.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a home win, 3-1 Middlesbrough. And I'll go for Aidan Morris to score anytime.
Jack one.
Sorry, Simon. I'm going 4-1 Borough. I think it's going to be. It will click one week. It really will, and it could be. This will be the week. And we really do owe you one. Anytime scorer, I'm going to go with Ben Doak. Yeah, if you want to talk about an opposition player, I'd recommend talking about him. He is. We can't talk highly enough of him, and we can see why Liverpool don't want to get rid. He's absolutely brilliant.
To be fair, I was impressed that he mentioned Morris because he's a defensive midfielder. So if you're watching highlight shows, you don't see it. But I've said he's been our most consistent player this season. He's been an outstanding buy. And I don't know if you know, but just before you go, we've got a fan zone at the ground. It's okay for away fans. So we normally go in there before the game. So if you get there early enough, come over and join a pint. You can laugh at us for our outrageous predictions.
I won't be laughing until full time because it might come true.
There you go. Right, they are. Simon Lillibury from that Cov Pod. Got me mouth around it eventually. Thank you so much for popping on. I will let you go. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys. See you later.
Spot on. Cheers,
Take it easy.
Brilliant, thank you.
There you go. So that was Simon. He was kind of positive. Didn't end positive, unfortunately. We absolutely ripped him a bit set with them score predictions, but we don't change much from yesterday, do we? And he said Saturday. From yesterday, do we, John Don? We've got to go with the same kind of team again. Or am I talking rubbish as usual again?
No. I mean, I think the only change, might come in the fullback position. But personally, I would stick to the 11 that started at Norwich, and I'm looking forward to Saturday because I think we've got 3 winnable games coming up. We've got Coventry at home, we've got Luton at home, and in between them we've got QPR away. If I'm honest, I'm looking for 9 points, and I think by the next international break, I'm hoping that we could be top 3, top 4, and that's what I think we can achieve. So fingers crossed, it's a good start on Saturday.
Yep, I totally agree. But we all know what Michael's like for chopping and changing teams. If you want to see someone blow a gasket, if Conway gets dropped for laugh on Saturday, pop yourself into the fan zone bar and you'll see a bright red me fuming at 2:00. So yeah, let's hope he doesn't do it though. Please don't do it, Michael.
Who needs Gary Phillipson to big up the fan zone when you've got that? If you want to see me blow
great,
gaskets.
A lot of away fans, we go to a lot of grounds and they're not fan friendly like that. It's a great place for home fans and the away fans to get across as well. So I think it's something really good that the club have done and they deserve credit for that.
Oh, it's brilliant. It is brilliant. The fan zone.
Yeah, I mean, we went to the Bournemouth fan zone the last time we played there, and it was home fans only. They were turning us away, and Bristol City, similar 2 or 3 seasons ago. So yeah, the fact that it lets home and away fans mingle in good humour. I think it's been a great move by the club.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's about it for us. We're all done. Yeah, it's been a good chat. Ups and downs, a bit like our season, but hopefully when we reconvene next week, we'll have a positive win to talk about, positive performance as usual. Because we've got a busy one next week. We've got two games to preview, QPR and Luton, before another international break. Keep tuned on what we're going to do during the international break. We'll do something. Thank you very much for listening, commenting, subscribing, liking, letting us talk rubbish in your ears for an hour. Because it's all about opinions, but we do. Why are you giggling? Why?
You selling it. Keep tuned in the international break. We'll do something.
Well, I wasn't going to say what we're going to do because I don't know. But we'll think of something. But yeah, just keep on our socials, and we'll keep you well informed as we always do. So, Coach, thank you for popping in.
No, pleasure as always.
John Don, thanks for popping on. You can go back to your shift now.
No problem. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, we'll have a chat again next week. Thank you very much for popping on. Arrivederci. Be seeing you up the borough.
Up the ball.
Hello,
Come on, brother.
it's Leo, and you are listening.